it was an even greater fear that if we didn't make the leap, that it would hurt us significantly to not move forward.
But the world has changed so much recently and so rapidly. Not getting on board, now it's like you are a dinosaur. Forget it. You're getting left behind.
The AI tools that we have available to us now are the worst they're ever going to be. They're only going to get better. And
technology is an investment in clarity.
The automation and the efficiency, and then again, the transparency and the integration with our CRM, the change has been dramatic.
Welcome back to The Concrete Voice, the podcast where real estate meets technology and transformation. I'm Arthur Ambartsamian, and joining me today is my co-host, Wes Snow, co-founder of Ascendix Technologies, and someone who's been helping shape digital transformation in the commercial real estate world long before it became a trend. So Wes, great to have you here again.
Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
Today's conversation is one I've really been looking forward to. We're joined by Tom Sherlock and Carol Stanley from Talonveest Capital. Tom, Carol, it's great to have you both here. Why don't we start with a quick introduction from each of you? Tell us a bit about your roles and what Talonveest Capital focuses on today.
Pleasure to be here, Art. Wes, thank you for inviting us. I'm Tom Sherlock. I'm one of the founders of Talonveest Capital. We're a mortgage banking firm focusing predominantly on self-storage, industrial, multifamily, but we're growing and adding new niches into the business. We operate on a nationwide basis with a lot of institutional type investors.
Thank you. My name is Carol, and thank you both for having me as well. I have been at Talonveest since 2011, so almost since the beginning, and have worn multiple hats during my tenure here. Responsibilities include human resources, operations, and more recently, technology initiatives.
So Carol's now the chief operating officer of the company because she handles so many things.
Nice. So, Wes, I know you've seen a lot of this transformation up close, so I'll pass it over to you to kick off the first part of the discussion.
So, 2.5 years ago, we got to know each other, and I think maybe it'd be better to put it in your words as to what were the circumstances that existed for us to make a connection. Maybe just take us back to the beginning of where you came to know Ascendix.
Sure. So, as I mentioned, the company was founded in 2010. At the time, we were predominantly using Excel for everything: our pipeline, our databases, our processes, everything. And I know that was kind of the dinosaur age. And we had some younger individuals on our underwriting team that were pushing for a different platform, a more transparent way to better our processes. And one of the gentlemen that was currently on our team recommended Asana.
When Asana came into the equation for us, that was really our first. That was all about process mapping and getting extreme consistency in how we serviced our clients and how we went through a process. But again, we were scratching the surface of what could happen. We really needed, as Carol said, a CRM. We went online and started to see some of the videos on Ascendix, and candidly, my mind was blown. When I saw what the Ascendix CRM could do in terms of managing the whole process of a deal, central point of information for everybody on the team, it was, again, you got to picture where we were at the time, going from 0 to 100, like that with the CRM. And so that's when we saw the options and we saw Ascendix, for us, it was a bit of a no-brainer, actually, in saying that's the one we want.
That's kind of how I remember it, and I appreciate you confirming that. As we get more gray hairs in this beard, it seems like my recollection of things kind of starts to become less acute. So, well, what I will say is this: you guys were the perfect fit at the perfect time for what we built out there. And that this solution, the Ascendix CRE for capital markets, was purpose built for your very business model. And it's one thing to get on a call and to see it and to resonate with the platform, and yet another to actually make that bold decision to pull the trigger and invest in not only the application, but also being appreciative of the journey that that application is going to take you in the way of change management. And oftentimes we find people, they make the first decision but forget to make the second one, which is really working closely with the partner to have the tool reflect your secret sauce and your fingerprints on the tool there. And there's an expense and over and above the subscription there. What was it that allowed that to be a decision that seemingly, from our vantage point, was a pretty easy one for you? But I'm sure you guys had consternation around, is this where we want to deploy our capital, et cetera. What was it that made you guys bold enough to move forward with that entire investment of both the subscription and the services it would take to get this situated for you guys properly?
We are a small firm. Today we are a team of 15, and we've been hovering around that number for the last handful of years. And so I think I'll speak from just my standpoint. It was a little bit of a gamble to make the investment, an investment from a financial perspective, and also an investment. Okay, is our team going to change with us? I think it was an even greater fear that if we didn't make the leap, that it would hurt us significantly to not move forward.
There was the fear of technology. We have a number of folks who are 40 to 60 years old, experienced folks inside the organization who didn't necessarily grow up in today's technology world. So there was that fear component that was at play. And as Carol said, we had a number of analysts who were in their 20s or late 20s or early 30s who were really comfortable, and they were kind of saying, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. I've been in the industry for a long time, the commercial real estate finance industry for 40 years, and it has historically been a technology dinosaur, very slow to adopt and adapt new technologies. But the world has changed so much recently and so rapidly that not getting on board, now it's like, you are a dinosaur. Forget it. You're getting left behind. The big companies, the big players in our space, look, they're Fortune 500 companies, so they have the resource to invest heavily in this kind of technology and find ways to adapt it and apply it in the industry. And if we don't get on board, we're going to fall so far behind them that we couldn't afford to do that. We couldn't afford to not risk.
Yeah, Tom, unpacking on that, I want to ask one question. So when you look back to this journey and the challenges, the decision you made, maybe the late nights, what moments made you realize it was all worth it?
That's a really interesting question, and it's a two-part answer, if you don't mind. The first part, I knew it was the right decision to make when I saw what Ascendix CRE did, just kind of the way it was built. The first 6 months are choppy. We're having to bring people into doing things a different way and understanding, why should I do this? What's in it for me? What's in it for our clients? What's in it for the company? And it's just really hard to get people to change their practices, the way they've done things for years. And so it took 6-9 months or something like that before we started to really see the integration, when there was a critical mass of people who were active in the system. And then we could start to really see the value.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Actually, I had a follow-up quick question to Carol on that topic, because Carol, you mentioned the shift in mindset that your team had to make to actually adopt the technology. So what do you hope your team will remember most about this chapter of the transformation in your life?
I hope that they'll look back and remember how far we've come in a short amount of time, because it was April of 2024 we launched, and where we are today and the engagement is so impressive by comparison. And it took, like as Tom shared, it took some time, but if you look at our stats and the dashboards and the reports that we've created um, in order to measure engagement, the numbers speak for itself. So I'm impressed, I'm happy, and I hopefully that they feel the same way. Like we've just come a long way in a short amount of time.
There was vision of what you wanted to accomplish when you first saw the demonstration and we started going in the implementation. So there's what we hoped for and what we realized. If you could maybe provide us the top two things, maybe three things that you not only hoped for but actually are getting, with whatever specificity you want to share.
I'll start on the business development side of the equation. Previously, and we have folks in California, Colorado, and the DC area, and before the CRM, before Ascendix, everything was verbal communication or Outlook, email, and what's going on, and sure, I'm making X number of calls per day, Tom, and I had these meetings and everything else. And we're not a company that sits on people and micromanages. We have really talented people, but we need communication to operate, the organization. Today, I can flip on the screen and go to a dashboard, and I know, there were 200 outreaches to which and to which companies and into which sectors and to which of those folks are designated as high potential prospects and which one are high value existing clients and things like that. So we can see where efforts are being directed, where we really never had visibility to that other than something we had talked about in the past, the recency bias. Sure, you talk to somebody and they tell you about what happened today. And they don't remember to tell you what happened yesterday or the day before, the day before, the day before. It's just, well, this is the last 5 minutes, or here's the deal that we're having a challenge with right now, and here's how we're fixing this. And there's just this massive amount of information that gets lost because of recency bias. So anyway, I'm digressing a little bit because there's a couple things to unpack in there, but one is real knowledge about the business development efforts that are happening inside the organization and targeting of those efforts. And it starts, it's a starting point that's grown into something Carol's been involved in very recently as we've adopted some changed some services. We're going from Constant Contact to MailChimp so that we can have our business developers get auto notifications when certain marketing pieces go out, knowing that client ABC just opened that email or just clicked into that link or whatever it is. And our business developers are getting notifications like that so they can transition from making cold calls into making warmer calls, whether it's warm or hot or warmer, who's to say, but there's something that makes the call a lot easier to make at the time.
Yes, I would say that my greatest highlight would be the consolidation of platforms and pieces and documents all being centered into one central hub. We did away with Excel. We realized that even after implementing Asana for a short duration, we made a quick pivot and realized that we could put it all into one system. So Tom just shared a lot about the prospecting efforts that are done on the business development side. We moved away from Asana and put action plans into Ascendix. And so now we have our business execution team living and breathing inside the platform on a daily basis. So all sides of the house are integrated and consolidated using one platform, including our marketing team. He also touched on it. Our outreach and our efforts from the marketing side are also housed in the communication inside the CRM. It's just one central point for us. And with remote workers, it's just made everything transparent. And that would be the greatest takeaway for me.
Well, there's an overused term. It's a journey, not a transaction. And there's truth to that. I think that, would you say that you guys have some sense of a roadmap of where you want to go now that you've kind of planed out on this platform, and you can see there being opportunities for even further efficiency and effectiveness using technology in your organization?
We're in that world right now, Wes. Carol can share, we've adopted at least 2, if not 3 new tools probably in the last 90 to 120 days.
I would say that once we kind of hit the ground running with their usage of the CRM and then all of the additional tools that we've learned about over the last 6 months, we're just excited. And um, as Tom mentioned, we've adopted and implemented Henry AI packaging tool. So our analysts do the underwriting still in our Excel model, but then they feed Henry AI all of the information about the market data. Then they put in the underwriting, the sponsor information, the executive summary, and Henry AI takes all that information and delivers a package in a fraction of the time that was being done by our human team. So that is one tool that we've adopted over the last 6 months. Second, we've done Lev Capital, which is a placement platform tool. And we've worked with Aaron on your team to integrate that into Ascendix. So our business execution team can launch a deal or go out to market with the package that's prepared by Henry AI. And it's again using AI. It launches through our Outlook. When the lenders respond, the emails are automatically read, and term sheets are then uploaded into Ascendix as deal sources. Everything is communicating, speaking. It's just the automation and the efficiency, and then again the transparency and the integration with our CRM. I won't say it's been seamless, but the change has been dramatic. Also, we in the last 6 months we've implemented Zoom Info, so our business developers have access and can make some prospecting lists within, and then everything within Zoom Info is also fed into the CRM. We're evaluating an additional prospecting tool, SalesLoft, and I know that also integrates with our CRM. So we're just excited about what we've accomplished and where we're going.
It almost feels like you've got a technology addiction.
It's kind of it's definitely an exciting time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Tom,
You know what it does, Wes? Maybe there is a little bit of a technology addiction going on, but what it really does, and I'm going to use our underwriting team as a great example of this. The tools that we're talking about mean that our underwriters, instead of inputting a whole bunch of data, just data entry kind of stuff, they're using their brains.
Bingo.
Henry AI will create a package. That's not the final form. Now they're getting all this work and tedious stuff, but minutia stuff, maps getting put in and labels and all this other kind of stuff. All of that is automated and it's put in there, and they can then get an output in minutes and turn around and now start to critically evaluate what's the presentation all about that they wanted to put. And they look with a sharper eye, which makes the information go into lenders better, more detailed, makes more sense. They find the gaps in the logic that may or may not exist. So what the lenders are getting are better packages. Then they're using Lev to get it out into the market like that on a much broader basis than maybe we could have done ourselves. And it's all about getting more efficiency for our underwriters and them using their brains so much more than they ever had to before. They operate more and more in the system. When they operate more and more in the system, we become smarter, we iterate, and it just the flywheel keeps spinning. So it's one of the great things about this. I made a reference earlier. Look, there's the Fortune 500 companies in our industry that are out there that are spending millions of dollars. I don't know. I'd have to ask them, but they're spending massive sums of money around this. And a boutique-sized firm, a growing boutique firm, gets to operate with these tools.
Yeah.
That are basically the same ones that they're operating with. So it's I think I've used this term with you before, Wes. It's the great democratization.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for those who will take the time and make the effort to say, we're jumping in with both feet and we're going to play in this way.
what they may have advantage-wise in terms of access to capital and dollars to throw at an initiative like this, you guys have in nimbleness and ability to react and make pivots like you did earlier. And when you have, by the way, we were very intentional about this when we designed the capital markets edition, is that we want to try to take that which larger organizations are benefiting from, and I'll use that word, democratize it, make it available so that the mid-market boutique shops can benefit from the same technology. There's a book I'm reading, and it says the AI tools that we have available to us now are the worst they're ever going to be. They're only going to get better. And so we're already seeing some great rewards, and I think there are so many more to come.
So if there is an owner right now or a business leader or maybe a rising star looking to, just adopt a new tool, maybe AI tool, maybe CRM, just embrace technology in their company, what's first step you would advise to take first?
I would say make sure you have the right partner to help you implement. I stand by my statement that I think you need to interview the various firms and your options and make sure you're aligned, because I will say the weekly meetings that we have with Erin is the reason for our success. She brings the technology and the strategy, but she cares about our firm and understands our business, and she's able to make suggestions and help us in ways that we didn't even know we needed.
Yeah, I think Carol hit the nail right on the head with that statement. So the only thing I can add for a company is commit to doing it. Then you got to find the right partner, but you just commit to doing it. I understand kind of the discomfort that somebody might feel, whether it's a discomfort about investing money, whether it's a discomfort about changing processes or just change in general. I understand that, but I got to say it. We're at in my opinion, at an inflection point in business that if you are not part of this, you're going to fall away. You're going to be the flip phone when the Apple phone iPhone came out, and it's happening fast, and you just got to commit to being on board, and then do exactly what Carol said. You got to have the right partner.
Tom, let me double click into that commitment topic there. There's a variety of types of commitment. There's commitment of money, there's commitment of people and time, and there's time of Carol's, but there's time of yours as well. I've seen a number who felt like their definition of commitment was to have stroked the check and then walked away and just said, let's hit the easy button and hope that this works out. What's your take on the commitment at those three levels: time, money, and people? And what do you feel like you guys executed on in those areas?
Truthfully, I think money is the easy one. Time and people are 1A and 1B. Wes, what you said, hit the easy button. It ain't easy. That's the thing. I think somebody needs to walk into the process knowing what we're talking about is changing people's behavior. And that's one of the hardest things to do. We learned by doing, so we made plenty of mistakes. We always do. We made plenty of mistakes, but we kept doing. And so we kept learning the rhythms, if you will. We kept asking the questions of, what do you want the system to do? What's it not doing now that you want? So that the iterations kept happening. Well, that's time. That's a lot of time, and building the momentum with the people. It's not easy. Stating the obvious, it's not easy, but having leaders inside the organization, and I'm not talking about seniority, I'm talking about people
Right.
who want to dive in and say, wait a minute, I see it, I get it, and they become champions of the change, because it doesn't come from on high down to the masses, so to speak. It's from within the organization that the momentum really builds. It takes an effort. It takes time.
So we are wishing our audience to have leaders or became the one for their organizations. Tom, Carol, thank you for sharing such an open and insightful stories. What really stands out is how intentional you've been in using technology to straighten the human side of your business. Thanks for joining the Concrete Voice today. We hope that this episode gave you the fresh ideas, maybe raised a few questions, maybe even nudged you to, toward an action in your organization. So stay curious, keep experimenting, and remember that technology is an investment in clarity and also in competitive advantage. So we'll continue exploring the future of commercial real estate and technology together, and see you in the next episode.